Disclaimer: this story is a reimagined work inspired by themes, motifs, and storytelling traditions found in African American folklore. It is an original interpretation and not a direct retelling of any specific folktale. I do not own the rights to traditional African American folklore, which belongs to the cultural heritage of its communities. All characters and events depicted are fictionalized for creative purposes. The Weight of What Waits, a 10-chapter Southern Gothic horror story. Chapter 1, The Boy Who Survived Smoke. Jasper Crowley was 7 when the house went. He doesn't remember heat or sirens or his mother's screams. He remembers 3 things, and they come in the same order every time he tries to sleep. A match, not struck, just present, pinched between fingers he couldn't see. A curl of flame, not wild, deliberate, like it was reading paper. A figure in the hallway. It did not burn. The wallpaper peeled and the paint blistered, but the figure stood still, head tilted, watching him crawl. The fire marshal said faulty wiring. The neighbors said miracle. The therapist said repressed trauma. Jasper didn't believe any of them, because miracles don't watch. Miracles don't wait to see what you'll do. He grew up allergic to light. Lamps on low, curtains drawn. He told people it was his eyes. It wasn't. It was the fear that if he could see clearly, he'd see it again. Something had watched him live, and it hadn't felt like mercy. It felt like interest. Chapter 2, The Story That Stayed. The fire took his parents, his sister, his dog, and every photo of them. It took his bedroom, his books, the sound of his mother humming. Memory became a burned-out building. You could walk the perimeter, but you couldn't go inside. Only one story survived the ash. Big Liz. His grandfather told it on the porch when the cicadas got too loud, usually with a glass of something brown in his hand. Down in the Terrebonne swamp, boy. Woman they called Big Liz. Cheated by a man. Killed for a treasure she was told to dig. Now she walks the water carrying her own head. She don't haunt. She keeps. Keeps what, Pap? Things that ain't meant to be found. Some treasures ain't lost, Jasper. They are kept. Jasper became a folklorist by 25, but it was never about tenure. It was about that story. If Big Liz survived the fire in his head when everything else burned, maybe she was real. And if she was real, maybe the part of him that vanished in the smoke was real too, just kept somewhere. He needed to find her, not to prove her, to retrieve himself. Chapter 3, Into the Swamp. The Terrebonne parish doesn't appear on most GPS routes. The roads go from asphalt to gravel to suggestion. The last gas station has a hand-painted sign. No questions after dark. Jasper left his rental at the edge of a boat launch, where the water was black and still, like spilled ink. The air was a mouth, wet, hot, and close. It tasted like pennies and rot. He took a John boat in. No motor. The paddle was the only sound for hours. The first night, something moved in the trees. Not the snap of deer or the splash of gators. This was displacement, like the swamp was making room for something wide. He told himself it was branches settling, but branches don't move with you. By the third night, he stopped telling himself anything. Chapter 4, The Shape in the Fog. Dawn doesn't break in the swamp. It leaks. The fog was knee-high on the water when he saw her, between two cypress trees whose knees jutted up like bones. She didn't sway, didn't breathe. The distance was wrong. She was both too far to see clearly and too close to be safe. Jasper's camera wouldn't focus. The lens kept hunting, clicking, failing. He stepped out of the boat. Water came to his thighs, warm as blood. One more step, and the fog closed like a curtain. She was gone, but where she'd stood, the water was colder, and the mud beneath it. It gave under his boot like a bruise. When he pulled his foot up, the print didn't fill. It stayed, a dark mouth in the silt, exhaling tiny bubbles, like something had been buried there and refused to stay quiet. Chapter 5, The Fear That Speaks. On night 4, the whispers started. Not words, intentions. The way a dog tells you to drop the food without barking. Turn back. The idea arrived in his head like it had always been there, sudden and obvious as thirst. Leave it buried. His hands shook when he tried to write in his journal. You are not meant to remember. That one came with a smell, burnt paper and hair. Most people would have run. Jasper smiled for the first time in years, because fear with an agenda means there's something to protect. And if the swamp was afraid of him remembering, then the thing he'd lost was here. Whatever waited here knew him. Chapter 6, Big Liz. The 6th night, the water went flat. No ripples, no bugs, no breath. She was there when he opened the tent. Big Liz stood in water to her shins, but the water didn't move around her. She wore a dress that might have been white 100 years ago. In her hands, held at her waist like a lantern, was her head. Her eyes were open. Her mouth was closed. The voice didn't come from the head. It came from the swamp, the trees, the space behind Jasper's teeth. It wasn't a scream. It wasn't a threat. It was a memory, and it wasn't his. He saw a man with soft hands and a softer voice. You dig it, Liz. For us, for the future. He saw her, strong and trusting, shovel biting earth. He saw the glint of metal, not gold, not yet the glint of a blade. He saw her own grave, dug neat and deep, and the lie that filled it. When the earth opened, so did betrayal. Big Liz wasn't haunting him. She was showing him. Chapter 7, The Truth Beneath. She came again the next night, and the next. Each time, she walked him further into the memory. Big Liz wasn't bound by curses. She was bound by witness. The treasure wasn't coins. It was a moment, preserved like a fly in amber. The second a man decided love was worth less than gold. The second a woman realized her strength had been used to dig her own end. The gold was just there, because greed needs a shape. I don't guard it, the swamp said, using her voice. I am it, and it is me. To take it is to agree to carry it. Anyone who found it wouldn't be rich. They'd be informed. They'd know in their bones what a human being is capable of doing to another. And once you know, you can't unknow. That was the weight. Chapter 8, The Dig. He found the place on the 8th night. No X on a map. His hands knew. The ground between 3 cypress trees was higher than the rest, and it pulsed. Not metaphor. Pulsed like a slow heart under a thin mattress of mud. Jasper dug with his hands. The shovel felt like a violation. Mud packed his nails. The water rose to his chest as he went deeper. But he didn't get colder. He got heavier. For every foot, the air thickened. For every inch, the whispers got clearer. They weren't telling him to stop anymore. They were saying, "You're almost there." Behind him, he felt her. Not blocking, not helping, witnessing the way the figure in the hallway had witnessed. Chapter 9, The Return of Memory. The chest wasn't wood. It was iron, eaten thin by water and time. It cracked open like a rib cage. The gold inside didn't shine. It was dull, diseased yellow. Coins stuck together by mud and time. It looked tired. Jasper reached in, and the fire came back. Not as nightmare, as fact. He was 7. He'd found his father's papers. Divorce, debt, life insurance. He was angry in the way. Only kids can be total, thoughtless. He took a match. He meant to scare. The paper curled too fast. The rug caught. He panicked and hid in the closet instead of yelling. And the figure in the hallway, it was his reflection in the glass of his bedroom door. A boy watching himself burn his life down, choosing to hide instead of save. The figure hadn't saved him. It had chosen him to live with it. Big Liz hadn't led him to gold. She'd led him to the moment. He became the thing he was afraid of. The gold was witness. Now he was 2. Chapter 10, The Man Who Got Everything. They say Jasper Crowley walked out of Terrebonne with more wealth than the parish had seen in a century. He bought a house in the city, old stone, no windows on the bottom floor. He's a philanthropist now. Libraries, burn wards, scholarships for kids from broken homes. He never does interviews. People say he's eccentric. He laughs during silences. He stops conversations to stare at corners. He keeps his house dark, always dark, because light reminds him of flame, and flame reminds him of choice. Sometimes, when the air conditioner cuts out and the house gets too still. He hears it, water lapping at cypress knees, and a voice that does not accuse, does not forgive, only reminds. You remembered, and the weight of that is heavier than any gold. Big Liz never laid a hand on him. She didn't have to. The horror was never her. It was the truth she kept. Jasper didn't go mad because a ghost broke him. He went mad because the ghost made him whole. And wholeness, it turns out, includes the worst thing you've ever done. He got everything he wanted. The treasure, the memory, the self. And that's why he'll never sleep again.